So I paid £30 for this OG Xbox bundle and it's broken. Bought it from eBay, so let's get into it. Oh, I can't take myself seriously. Alright, so here is everything that came in the bundle. It came with these games. Nothing to rave about there. I'm going to pop them to one side. It came with all the original leads, wires, and the AV cables. Won't be using those. Came with this controller, which has seen better days. That's broken, so I'm going to look at getting that changed out. And of course, it came with the Xbox itself. Now this thing is so big I can hardly get it in frame, but I'll just have a quick look around. So it came with this, but no remote. It needs a good cleanup. The back ports look okay. It's a bit dirty. And underneath. So I think there's some screws under here. So that's a good sign. It means no one's been inside this before. First of all, we're going to be looking at this controller. So obviously when this thing arrived, I'd seen that the cable's all chewed up. Now this happens basically when people are storing the controllers and they wrap these around and it causes that to break. So I bought this online, which is a replacement cable. It has the breakaway. The only difference is black instead of green. I'm sure I can live with that. We'll look at getting them replaced as well. To get into this thing, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. Once you've got your 7 screws out, you can just lift this off. Yeah, this thing's dirty. Got all kinds of crust falling out of this. There's our thumbsticks. We're going to try and replace those, but we're going to attempt to do this first. So next, we'll just remove these 4 screws. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually use a Phillips 0 on those. They're slightly smaller. Probably could use a Phillips 1. And then we need to remove these 2 motor connectors. Next, I think you can just lift this off. Oh, I missed one of the screws. Okay, now we should be able to lift it off. Flip it over. Here's our connector. So I think you can just lift this out. Does it slide, maybe? So I think you've got to keep this for your new cable. And that is what we're going to be removing. So these are what we need to desolder and remove all the solder from these. So we'll just add some flux. Plenty of flux on those. Somebody advised me recently if I just cut off a smaller piece of braid, because it's smaller, it actually gets hotter quicker, which makes total sense. So let's just give this a go. See if we can get away with this without adding any leaded solder. Of course, there's many ways of doing this. Some people will probably use a solder sucker or a desoldering gun if you've got one. Back in with the braid. Probably could do with cleaning the tip of my iron here, to be honest. there it is. Very dirty. So I've just encountered something while trying to put the new one in. So this one, as you can see, the red wire is on the right, followed by a white wire. Whereas on the new one, it's a brown wire on the right, followed by a black one. So it's almost like they're in reverse. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. So I've decided I'm just going to solder it in this way, although the colours are the wrong, well, the wires are in the wrong orientation. Basically because this needs to go in this way because this is the top controller up here. Okay, then we'll just turn it over. Alright, just add some flux. Bit more. I've got my multimeter in continuity mode. I'm just going to check for bridges. So these first are bridged. They might meant to be bridged, I'm not sure. So it's just these first two, but they're not actually touching. So you can see from this angle here, they're definitely not making a contact. You can see the white paint in between them. So that makes me think they're supposed to be, they're on the same circuit. So you can't actually buy these thumbsticks anymore. They're just not produced anymore. There's no like replicas out there. The closest thing you can get is these Hyperkin ones, but it's the wrong size. Let me just focus that. It's a different size. It's too small. Now you can put Xbox 360 joystick thumbsticks on here, and you can also put DualShock 2 thumbsticks on here. But I'm just gonna try and make this hole bigger and drill it and basically be a cowboy because I want the original looking ones back on. So when I'm measuring this, it's looking like it's about 4 mil. And if I measure the hole on the old one, the hole's about 5 mil. Alright, so here's the original. You can see it's got the big holes. And these are the closest things you can get. They're the Hyperkin ones. They don't actually produce these anymore and you just can't buy them. So I'm going to do something crazy because I want the original ones on. So I've got this drill. I've got a 3.5 mil bit, and you can see that fits in there snugly. It even turns the chuck on the drill. So I'm going to attempt this. It probably won't work, but here we go. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, it needs to be slightly bigger, so I'm going to use a 4 mil. Okay, so this is a 4 mil drill bit. Now it looks quite beefy, to be honest. Let's test it in here. So it does fit in there. Okay, so I just need some tweezers. Okay, let's give that a try. Oh my god, it works. And that is on there snug. I don't believe it. I've never seen anyone do this before, so I'm surprised it actually works. Look at that. Now I don't know if they're on the right ones. I'm going to have to go through the footage and check. Make sure which one's right. Which one's left and which one's right. Next, you've got to grab this clip. You can put it around the cable and then you just slide it in. Make sure you don't trap any of the wires underneath it. On the original, this had a coating around it, so you could tape it if you want to. I think that's in. I don't know how deep that's supposed to go in, but just slide all the way, maybe. Yep. Okay, I just broke something there. I don't know if you heard it, but something pinged off. But it's okay, it's on. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I've given it just a quick clean up on the front here. Just polished it up a little bit. The thumbsticks look okay. So obviously, when I did drill into them, obviously made a circle, so now these can be twisted. Obviously, when they're oval, that doesn't happen. But I don't mind that, and if it does bother me, I can always swap it out for some DualShock 2 or Xbox 360 ones. I do have some DualShock 2 ones I can use, but I'm happy with that. Everything seems working fine. Buttons click. Also, I don't know if it's going to be a problem because obviously the way that this wire came, the wire colours were in a different order, so hopefully that's not going to be a problem, but we'll find out obviously when we get the Xbox working. So I'm going to have to apologise, I've brought you down to the floor basically because the setup's too big, it doesn't fit in frame on my little desk. Anyway, as you can see, I've got the unholiest of all setups. So I've got the portable monitor plugged into the power bank to power the monitor. I've got the Xbox plugged into an extension cord under there, and it's running through a HDMI converter, which is HDMI on that side and then mini HDMI on that side. So pretty brutal, but let's just turn it on. So in the eBay listing it said unknown fault. Unknown fault, I don't know what that means. Does anyone know what that means? No. So I'll just power it on, we'll try and find out what the fault is. Okay, power's on. No way. No way. What? It just works. Oh, does my controller work? No. Just a very quick voiceover here because I wasn't explaining what I was doing very well in the video. Basically, I tested the pins on both the old cable and the new one to find out if it was the new cable with the different wire colours that was the problem. I found that the wires both had a continuous path to the same part of the breakaway cable regardless of the colours. So the new wire, although it has different colours, it still needs to go in the same orientation. The colours didn't actually make a difference, just when they manufactured it they've wrapped the wires in a different colour sheath basically. I also realised that the two bridge pads were both short to ground and they weren't obviously bridged together, so that's when I moved on and started testing components on the board and removing chips to try and locate the problem. Here we are then, back with the unholy setup. So we've got the Xbox there and the monitor, and I've actually got this kind of fake controller. I had to order this from Amazon very quickly. I got it on same day delivery. It was the only one I could get on the same day delivery. It's actually the next day now. So let's give this a test. Okay, all plugged in now. Now I suspect the other controller that had the two grounded pads is faulty. I have gone all over that board. I can't find where the fault is. I've checked all the capacitors and I'd taken off all the chips and the short was still there. So I'm not sure. So what's interesting is the fact that it's coming up with the clock is obviously, I think the clock capacitor may have gone inside the Xbox. But first let's see if the controller actually works or if it's the ports themselves. Oh yeah. So the Xbox controller ports are fine. So that other controller, the Duke controller, is fried. If you know what's wrong with it, or if you can give me any hints of what's wrong with it, then please let me know. But anyway, okay. So this is one of the games that came with the Xbox in the bundle. Now remember, this thing has an unknown fault, so it might be the disk drive. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So this is the error message we're getting. So this is another one of the games that came in the bundle. Looks okay. Oh, yeah. So I think that first game doesn't work. Oh. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's gone really loud. Flashing red and it's shut off. Yeah. Okay, let's crack this thing open and see what's going on inside. Alright, so here it is. I've never been inside one of these before, but I am going to say that these older consoles that don't have an external power brick, where it's just AC straight into them, a lot of them, the power supply isn't like encased in its own power supply internally. So I'm just going to say, obviously, don't copy what I'm going to do here because this might not be safe. I'm going to stay well away from those caps, which I'd imagine are going to be over here somewhere on this side because this is where the power comes in. It can be very dangerous, so just don't copy what I'm doing here because I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. So I think there's a screw under here, it feels like, then probably under these feet. Let's try and have a look. One there. That the adhesive's so old it's actually come off. Yeah, so this is a T20. So next we've just got to unplug the back of this out of the disk drive and pull out the power to the disk drive. And then I think we can just pull out the hard drive. So you got to get this cable out of the way. And then we can just take out the disk drive. Okay, so I'm just going to unplug this power just so that we can isolate this board from this horrible mess over here. Obviously stay well away from that big massive capacitor here and anything that's on this side of the board really. Let me tell you, that thing was not fun to get out. So it was like locked under, got this groove here and it was locked under this piece of plastic. Now there's no like release for that piece of plastic. So I had to try out the way while pulling up. And it's actually come loose there, but it's fine because all the pins are still intact, so everything there's going to be fine. Anyway, let's get everything else unplugged. I've just auto unplugged that fan connector there. So now we've just got to take out all these screws, which are T10. So I think I've unscrewed everything now. I also unscrewed them too. So let's just try and get this out. So I've just taken this heatsink off, and as you can see, there's a massive dry spot in the middle there. I mean, all of this is bone dry. Then on the actual APU itself, there's just absolutely no thermal paste left on it. So to be honest, I think this is probably what's causing our issue. There's just absolutely no thermal transfer, nothing's keeping this cool. So obviously we've got to get that replaced. Get some MX4 onto this. Right, so here's the GPU. I've just taken the heatsink off. I had to use some hot air because this was absolutely glued down. I just went in at 140 and then it loosened it, and I was able to rock it back and forth and lift it off. So we'll give this a clean up and get some fresh MX4 on this as well. So looking at the capacitors, and I think that this one is the clock capacitor. It's a 2.5 volt 1 farad. Let's bring this in close. Obviously we know it's failed, or at least I think it's failed. It doesn't look too bad though. I mean, it's got a slight bulge in the middle. All the other capacitors look fine to me, but obviously I'm not sure. I'll have a quick look under the microscope and let me know what you think. So none of them appear to be bulging on the top. Got a few up here as well. So I think it could benefit from a recap anyway. The problem is, well, at least for the clock capacitor, I don't have anything that's 1 farad. I have all mine ultra farad, nano farad, picofarad. So I can't actually replace it today. So obviously I will be replacing it, but I don't think that that's going to stop it from working. I can't see any other issues on this board that are obvious. I mean, obviously things need to clean and stuff like that, but I'm not sure, to be honest. So unless it's on the power board, which I'm not going to be touching. Well, look who came begging for help again. Don't worry, the video isn't over. Basically, I didn't know what was wrong with it, and I gave up and went to bed, and I was lying in bed, and I thought, I don't know what it is about repairs, but sometimes if I don't get the job done, I can't sleep. So I was like, right, I'm going to have another look at it. And then I realised I had a load of capacitors. I didn't have all of them, but I basically had all of the 22 microfarad ones, I think it was, off the top of my head while I'm editing. So I decided to get up and go and give it a shot. So let's see what happened. So I actually realised I actually have a few of these in stock, quite a few of them. So I ripped a lot of them off. It's just these smaller ones really. I ripped the clock capacitor off as well, because apparently that's not needed to start the system. So there's about 13 of these that I've ripped off all over the board. You can just see I've left the legs hanging out just so I can remember where they are, which ones need changing. So I'm just going to swap them out now and see if that makes any difference. I don't have any of these bigger ones. There's quite a few of these bigger ones dotted around. I think I've got a few of these. I might be able to do those as well. But I've never done these before. So I'm not going to use a microscope. I don't think I need to. So I really struggled with this to begin with. I tried all sorts of different things. I tried, just regular braid to begin with. Then I tried the solder sucker, which I'm absolutely rubbish with. I even tried hot air at one point. Eventually I went back to braid and I just got my technique down, and I just kind of learned how to do it on the fly. As you can probably tell, I've managed to do all of the capacitor replacements. Obviously I still need to solder them up, but here they are ready to go. There's 12 of them in total. One of them I've left on just because it was in a tricky spot. I didn't fancy tackling it. So just quickly get started on this. Alright, so after that partial recap, we're back down here at the unholy setup. Hopefully haven't made it worse and it still powers on at least. So let's just give it a go. Oh, that's a relief. Get display. Perfect. And we should expect it to ask for the time and date since we removed that clock capacitor. Yep. Okay, let's just grab a game. Lovely. Alright, so I've chosen this game because I think it's quite a stressful game. So obviously we want to give it a good test. And also, I don't trust the games that came with the bundle. Sounds like it's spinning up. Come on. Alright, let's see if this actually boots into the game. Alright, just loaded straight in. Okay, I'm going to give this a good while so I can test it, and then I'll come back with an update. Alright, so I've been playing this for around 20 minutes now, I think, and it's working absolutely fine. Obviously, I cleaned it up before. What do you think about that? But also, the fan is a lot quieter. I'm really shocked, to be honest, because I didn't expect it to work. Like, just doing that recap with those capacitors I had was kind of like a last-ditch attempt before buying a full recap kit. It's always nice when you just do like a last-ditch effort and it works. I'm really surprised. Get a load of that. I did not expect that to work in a million years. I'm so grateful it did. It really was a last-ditch effort. I only actually ended up replacing 12 capacitors. I think there's a couple dozen, maybe 2 or 3 dozen capacitors on that. I only had the 22 microfarad 25 volt capacitors in stock. So really surprising that I actually managed to fix it. I've spent about, I don't know, more hours than I care to admit, 10 plus hours on this over the course of 3 days. This is the 3rd day now. It's a shame about the controller. I don't know what's wrong with it. We had those 2 pads shorted to ground, it seemed like. I did take off the 3 chips that were on there and it was still shorted to ground. So clearly there's another component that's gone on that. I checked every single capacitor, so it isn't a capacitor. So I don't know exactly what's causing it. Clearly where the wire was snagged and torn, some of the wires crossed over and bridged, causing that to short to ground. It's probably a transistor or a diode or something like that somewhere. I don't really know how to test those yet. If you think you know what the problem is with that, then please let me know down below. Also, if you're new here and you want to follow along on this journey, then please consider subscribing.